Yes, so I've just done a note to myself to remind myself to go and actually book into some of the schedule because I haven't done that yet. And actually, what I've just thought, what's holding me back from doing it is that I'm not actually sure yet where I'll be for that week, and I'm nervous about if I put myself in on somebody's session. Is it going to be a problem later if I then find I can't do it and I pull out again? Out of respect, how do I deal with that, for that presenter?
I love this question. Thank you, Chris. What comes up for me straight away is it's a beautiful support to acknowledge that you would enjoy to be at their session. And then if you realize that it's not going to be convenient to actually be able to join or possible to join, to actually come back to the schedule and just unclick it for yourself. And that will give more of an accurate reading for the facilitator as they go towards their session. And it'll also mean for the ones you're thinking about you might attend, you'll also be included if the facilitators send any messages, which I'll talk about in a minute. But you'll also be included in any messaging that happens for that group. And then if you disconnect, you won't then receive messages from that group about what's needed in advance. So I think there's some real wisdom in being really mindful of, yes, acknowledge the ones you would like to go to. And then, like, I've noticed there's a couple of people like me who've gone through and just gone, I'm going to everything. And like, while that's ambitious and beautiful and hugely supportive of all the sessions, if it turns out that going to absolutely everything doesn't end up being the most doable, that it is appropriate to come back and let facilitators know if you're not going to be attending. So thank you for asking that.
Thanks. Yeah. I've got a question about breakout rooms too and hosting, because I had my first go this morning of actually creating a Zoom meeting as the host, and I had one other person in, so it was just me and her. And I noticed we couldn't find I couldn't find anywhere anything about breakout rooms, and I wondered if maybe that's just because there was only one other person. Does it normally show up somewhere?
Yes, it does. And so in the at the bottom of the screen, there's 3 dots that say more on my screen because I'm hosting.
I was going to say we don't have that because we're in your Zoom room.
That's right. And so because I'll be attending and it will be my Zoom room, repeating in all of the sessions, it'll be my Zoom room. What I'd like to do is offer a couple of options. One, I can be the tech person for you if you would like to ask for breakouts and let me know in advance. Then I can be a bit more prepared across that and be setting up the breakouts as the session opens, so that when you're ready to go to breakouts, I can just hit go. The other option is I can share hosting, so I can, if you would like to be host and control that yourself in terms of when people break out and when people come back. So Shez, you're a lot more experienced in this. I could offer to just share hosting with you once we're in the session. And then you'd be able to navigate that yourself if you wanted to. And then the third thought I've had is that when we arrive in the session, I will be arriving 10 to 15 minutes ahead of each session. I'll arrive early. And if you're a host for that session, then I recommend that you also join me in that 10 or 15 minutes early. And I will only admit you in that window of time. And so even if other people start turning up early, I won't admit them until you're set up, you're ready, and we've had a sense of opportunity to connect and say g'day and sort of land. And then when time comes, we'll open the room for participants. So I just want to reassure facilitators, if you are imagining that you're going to be coming into it like without that support, I just want you to know you will have that support, just that it's you know, you'll be able to share whatever your needs are at the time, like if you want support with the breakouts, or, you know, anything you can let me know in advance is going to be helpful in terms of your plan for your session. And I'm really happy to just, if it's a simple matter of breakout rooms, I can organise that pretty much as we go. Yeah.
That's really helpful. Thank you. That's probably, I did have a little sort of a question about the breakout rooms too. If you're hosting and I'm presenting, if you're if you're being the tech person, so you're managing the breakout room and I'm the presenter, and let's say the people are in a breakout room, while they're out there in that breakout room, can I talk to you so I can say, okay, let's bring them back in now, or something like that?
Yeah, that would be my guess is that because I've got enough experience with breakouts, and what I understand is that you actually have an option of how you want to break out the rooms, whether you want to do it in pairs or threes, and who's going to be in which group. You can organize all that, unless you want to just hit random and it'll do it for you. But it'll also mean I can exclude you from breaking out as the facilitator. And because I'm host, I unless I go and join a breakout room, I'm automatically not included in the breakout. So yes, I can be.
And I think you can join a room after. After
yeah, I can pop into a room and then hop out again, but I'll try to avoid doing that. I also find that a little distracting energetically when that happens to me. If I'm in a breakout and all of a sudden someone pops in, it's sort of odd. So I'll aim not to do that unless there's any pressing reason to. But yeah, I think that's another important point we can share with others too. So thank you for asking.
Oh, that's my questions.
Do you have another one? Oh, that's it. Okay.
That's it for now.
I have a couple of things to come back to that you've prompted, Chris, which I'm grateful for, but I just want to check with you, Shez. Is there anything else that comes up for you as a question out of what Chris has asked?
I guess I'm thinking that you can dialogue with Karen while everybody's still there. You can have, you know, talk about whether you both will join a group or whether you won't, or you can have a pre-arranged, don't think we'll join the group, but then at the time you could go, I know we've, you know, planned to sort of just stay out, but we've got this many people and I feel called to join a group, so you could do that. And just decide on how long you want, you know, is it going to be a 5 minute or 10 or 15 or whatever it is, and when you come back, it'll come up on the screen, you've got a minute, you'll automatically come back to the main meeting room in 60 seconds, or you can go back, you know, you can choose to go now when the time pops up. So
Yeah, thank you.
And you might want to have a chat with Karen about how you're going, how you're feeling, you know, just a little debrief in between while they're doing an exercise, kind of like you might in a room with live participants in a physical space.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that, about the length of time of activities is important and may be different in the Zoom space than to what you would do in an actual room. I was thinking about an activity I had thought about doing, which normally I would have given people half an hour in trios, you know? So there'd be, you know, each person would have 10 minutes. And it just occurs to me that if we were in a room, if someone had a difficulty, they didn't know, you know, if they had a question, they would find me in the room and call me over. But on Zoom,
I think you can do that. I think they can maybe put their hand up or come back to the main room and say we need help, or I'm not exactly sure on how that happens, but I have a feeling that it might be possible. But I'm hearing two things. One is, half an hour is quite a lengthy period in this format. maybe you're wondering if that's too long.
Mm.
And also, how do they get, put the hand up and get help if in this medium, because you won't be sort of there physically in the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that, I saw the place down the bottom where you can put your hand up. So that would be something I might try and test out with a couple of family members here. See if I can put them in a breakout room and then have one of them put their hand up. See if I can see
That's
it.
a terrific idea, because I'm not sure about the hand up, but I do know that you can exit a breakout and come back to the main room. So as the facilitator, if you stay out of the breakouts, you make yourself then available for people to drop back in and say, oh, we're having a trouble, would you be willing? And you can help people. You could answer their question and they can rejoin their own breakout group. So there's possibility for that.
And you could go with them.
That's the only one I'm aware of. But yes, I would love if you do some experimenting, and I would encourage others to do some experimenting with family members, or, reach out if you would like a practice. The other thing that's alive for me, we were talking about backgrounds before and how we were feeling about like creating some sort of backdrop for the retreat, or like how we might like to tidy or organize. And we also came across the idea that given you're traveling, Chris, and you're not sure where you'll be exactly, to just be at peace with the authenticity of that too. And so I'm wanting to say, even though there has been some conversation already about the possibility of, adding lovely backgrounds to our Zoom room screens, there's a lot of possibility and room for also just showing up exactly as things are, and that's perfectly welcome. So I just don't want it to occur to anyone as a pressure or an expectation that you have to have anything particularly set up behind you for your retreat session. And I encourage you, if it's fun and if it's playful and if it's doable and if you'd like to, then I encourage that sort of playful preparing. The other thing that came up, was earlier today, Shez, and you'd asked the question about the difference between what's a community mentor. And community mentor is how I've called someone who's not on their learning edge, who's coming to actually be a contributor to the community and to our learning and growth. So the distinction I have is that
for whom doing this, they're sharing work that they've been sharing for a while. It's
their expertise. They're bringing their expertise. They've already well established themselves in this area of expertise, and on Zoom, they're not on a learning edge. They're actually coming as to contribute something of their skills and talents as a gift to the community, and they bring some leaderships for us to enjoy. So there's actually some women in the group who are bringing that leadership in their area of expertise. And so the only way to know is to really have a little look on the program. You'll see on the schedule that I've put a note in the tags whether or not the person facilitating is a wise woman rising, someone on a learning edge, someone offering new work, someone exploring, or whether or not they're a community mentor. And the delight for me is that some are both. And one lady I'm thinking of is offering us a storytelling session in her area of expertise. She's showing up as a community mentor, but she's also offering a second session that's right on her learning edge. And so she's a wise woman rising in that one. It's actually just to name the welcome session, or the opening circle, the opening session on Friday night at 7:30, that we have this amazing opportunity to sing together on mute mostly. It'll be a beautiful led music session with The Way Knows the Way, the song. And I'm so hoping that almost everyone can come. Like, I'm so hoping for that to be a real community gathering. So my deepest request is, if you can navigate your schedule in some way to be there for the opening circle, that would be a real gift to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's it for now. So I'll finish the recording, but thanks for watching.
I've got a quick question about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the same city as you, time zone, for Chris or anybody in another location, you know, another state on the land called Australia, does it show up at the WA time, or does it show up as Eastern Standard Time?
It will only show up as Australian Eastern Standard Time, and that's great because we actually have someone coming from Ireland. We have someone coming from
So
Ireland.
they need to calculate, they need to do a time conversion for themselves.
That's the request. Thank you. Please do a conversion of time so you know what it is in your local area.
Is that written anywhere?
Oh, I need to add that. Thank you. I can go add, and I've got little tasks that you've given me today to change, update the website, which I've done as well today, a couple of updates on the website. You'll see that there's a little bit more program information at the top of the website, the schedule page. And I mourn that some people have had a challenge with logging in and finding the little sign in or log in. It's a very fine line of text at the top of the retreat program, and I'm grateful for those of you who've persevered. Please let me know if you're having any struggles with the schedule at all. And I've found the Sched people to be very helpful. They've even reached out directly to a couple of women who've had trouble with either having login issues, or they're super helpful. So please reach out and let me know if you're having a trouble with that.